I had an incredible conversation yesterday with a lovely chap called Dr. Mark Porter, and he's studied theology and ethnomusicology and a number of other subjects, and he teaches all over Europe, looking specifically at contemporary worship, which was interesting because I made a video about that, and quite a few people have got in touch. But he and I had a great chat yesterday. The thing that stood out to me was understanding where it fits with church and the value in it, and he really sees a lot of value in it where perhaps I don't as much. The thing which I joined some dots with was looking at and understanding the role of the musician in church. And he was talking about how he was asked, he's an incredibly accomplished musician, at least he tells me he is. He plays organ and piano and flute and saxophone and I'm guessing a number of other instruments. But he was told in one church that he used to serve in, I suppose, that there was no longer a place with the musical style for flute, and how that challenged him specifically because it was always the instrument he played where people would thank him afterwards and say that God spoke to them specifically, or they felt connected to God in a different way because of his flute playing. Now, the conversation he had, and he's explored since, is that contemporary worship is really about creating the mood or the platform for the church service. And if there's an individual that kind of is seen or sort of more standout, then they kind of get in the way of that thing. And I likened that to church generally. I think on the whole, people are part of the machine. They're not celebrated in their individuality, but instead together they form something that is reminiscent or modelling kind of people's expectation or understanding of what the kingdom of God looks like. Maybe I'm not an expert in that at all, but where it made me begin to think was now where there's this mismatch between current culture and church. Now, that's something, we're not, Christians aren't supposed to be cultural, they're supposed to be Christian. And in some respects, therefore, it's a subculture. What's interesting, though, is understanding how, as Christians, we're part of the world, we're part of society. I've got plenty of friends who aren't Christians. In fact, I've got very few Christian friends. But it's really interesting when you start thinking that society right now is all about the strengthening, the support, the celebration of the individual, whether that's in their sexuality, whether that's in their identity, whether that's in their history, or whether that's in their belief. And yet church isolates the individual to the extent where they need to disappear and become part of the body. I'm kind of interested in this, like how is the individual celebrated in evangelical church right now? And I would probably say they're not at all. And that's where abuse has just managed to thrive, because if the majority are doing well, if Soul Survivor's successful and lots of young people are part of it and becoming Christians, then why would an individual at the top doing nasty stuff be challenged? Because the few people that are hurt are not as relevant as the strength of the success. With Smythe, exactly the same occurs. If he's a confident person who's a leader and manipulative and then an abuser, that abuse comes second because we don't really want to challenge what's working because the individual isn't as important. And I wonder if that's why we've got a that's why we're deeply hurt, I think, by this thing, because we as individuals are being championed now. The democratization of me being able to speak to you on YouTube. I don't need a platform, a pulpit, or a TV channel anymore. I can speak directly to you. You can speak directly to me. Bishops no longer have power because of social media. My friend Robert said that. There's a sense that the individual not only has power, but they have agency. And for me, isn't that exciting? Isn't that what you read in the Gospels when Jesus meets with people who have no fame and no money, no health sometimes, no family, they've made terrible decisions or they've just been unlucky. He spends his life on them, and church isolates them.